What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube, presented as always by Pure Options Craft Cannabis. Go to pureoptions.com to find the location nearest you. Make Pure Options part of your weekend. You can download the app, join their Pure Perks loyalty program. No better way to spend a Sunday in April than with some Pure Options in your system. Headed down the back nine at the Masters. Again, pureoptions.com. And our Friday afternoon show, presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers Casino and Sportsbook app. Download the app, bet the Masters live. Do what I'm doing. Have 47 different bets, lose 46 of them. It's a lot of fun. Again, or you can head right down to Dacey's Tap Room and Sportsbook on I-94 in Battle Creek and do the in-house sportsbook experience. Very cool at the Masters or the Tigers game, whatever it might be. Soccer. Even to the Mexican soccer like me, they'll probably put that on for you. You can bet that as well. Again, Firekeepers Casino. And download the iCasino and Sportsbook and have it right at your fingertips. How you doing, brother?
I am never going to financially recover from this.
It's the American way, except America has gotten soft.
Hey, buddy. What's going on?
I'm good. You doing okay?
Yeah. The Masters bets, man. Oof.
Not good.
Holy shit. I'm still alive in some of these, but my God, my top 40, top 30s, all finito. Let's go to the weekend. Let's see what happens after round two and string something else together.
One of these years, I will just stop. You know, I mean,
but what fun is that? It's the Masters. I don't do this for every tournament. I know there's four majors. You know,
nothing kills a good gambling run like the Masters, like a major showing up. Like if I could just take that out of my life, I probably up a good another 2-3 percentage points over time.
But you're betting too much. Like, there's no way. I mean, with the Masters being the first major, April, good weather, it's just a great 4-day event. I want to be a part of it. You know, But I'll never change with the Masters, but it's just kind of frustrating when you sit there and put all the work in. You kind of just, like, crunch some numbers that you don't really do for some other bets, and then the bets aren't great sometimes. But, hey, that's golf, man. By the way, they should tell everybody golf betting is really, really hard.
Yes.
Out of the major sports.
Like if you listen to gambling podcasts or people who are, like I listen to different tennis podcasts and soccer and enjoy all that stuff. Everybody acts like they know what they're talking about. Sometimes they really do. You listen to people and you'll figure out over time, they don't always win their bets, but you'll realize over time this person is really dialed in.
Sure.
What cracks me up in golf is they have the same confidence, but nobody knows shit.
Right.
And so
because
just
the guys
that.
playing don't really know sometimes their game.
Just remember that. Yeah, it's not.
It's really tough.
Yeah. Before we get in our Groovy Donut Twitter questions, I think it's going to be a good show today. We got a lot of good ones from you. We're going to dig deep on MSU basketball, of course. What we are betting this weekend, presented by the Firekeepers Casino and Sportsbook app. So the Masters bets are in trouble. Are you doubling down with more live bets? Because I've already done it. I have all the favorites now. Like Justin Rose, I mortgaged the house on him. Like that. Just do it. Just take it. Take my money.
When did you jump on?
This morning.
Oh, okay.
Before the second round.
I thought about Bryson last night but then he was like hitting balls into like midnight. So I was like, good God, man. But yeah, he's -7 right now. But I mean,
now I'm on Bryson too. But I didn't get great odds. Yeah.
I mean, come on, we got to do some Tigers.
It's time for the Detroit Tigers gambling update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
The babyface assassin Reese Olson on the mound tonight against Minnesota, where he's had some success, I guess. The Tigers 7-5. The Twins 4-9, kind of ass. So I want to sit back and watch maybe, over 6 Ks and a Tigers money line, something like that. Sprinkle around, even though this game's on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Jesus. I don't even know if I renewed my subscription for it. Luckily, I saw Apple TV Plus. I'm like, shit, did I renew that?
I do it because of the MLS games, naturally.
Yeah.
Speaking of soccer, that's where I've got some stuff this weekend. Just some make it
back.
You want me to
call Harry? Get him on so you can sit through it too?
I've got a heavy favorite money line 3-leg parlay that I think people will like.
All right.
Brighton -340 to beat Leicester. Brighton at home. Liverpool at home -320 against West Ham. Just signed Mo Salah. I think they're going to have a decent game. Chelsea at home against an Ipswich team that just blew its last chance not to be relegated. And Chelsea's been a mess at times. Don't get me wrong, I don't love Chelsea, but minus 370. All three of those together, they all three win. It's plus 115. I love all three of those bets. I like both teams to score. Man City, Crystal Palace. I'm probably the under on Everton, Nottingham Forest. Give me both teams to score. Arsenal, Brentford. Kind of like, let's stick there. I like Newcastle a lot of different ways on Sunday against Man United too. But so that's about where I'm at over the weekend. A lot of soccer, and then of course the Tigers in the afternoon, and then the evening with the golf.
By the way, speaking of Harry and yourself, I just love the fact that like when we give these bets out, like the yesterday, like around 11 a.m. when Highsmith, who was one of my top 40 picks, is absolutely puking on his shoes. All I see in the group text is Highsmith is on a big low. Couch saw that. Like, oh man, glad I could go to a text group for my friends to sit there and rally around my bets. But yeah.
And every year it's Justin Rose, too. Every year Justin Rose I forget about him, and he's never part of the bets, and it's like, hey, Justin Rose is minus 14. It's like, son of a...
Well, because he is up there. I think he's a little older than me.
Yeah.
Right? I think he's like 47 years old, but obviously in better shape. The guy is a grinder.
I don't think he's that old. I don't think he's that old. He looks that old, but he's only...
How old do you think... Wait, hold on. How old do you think he is?
I think he's 42.
Oh, all right.
Let's see what it is.
Cockburn.
He is 44. Split the difference.
All right.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah. And
some days that feels like 47, I'm sure. But yeah, but afterwards, I mean, what has he done in the ensuing 3 rounds after the first round? I think I saw the stats on that. It's where he has been leading these things, but where he finishes out. But
no doubt.
I love Justin Rose.
And I am a naturally panicky gambler, and I'm not built for golf.
Dude, no. Golf is the worst. Maybe baseball parlays, if you have like a 3-leg for one from 1 p.m. on to the evening, that's a slow grind too. But golf, you cannot be impatient.
Especially if you're like me and you just buy high all the time. It's like, when is the worst time, least amount of value?
Oh, when you have a feel, like when you're watching the event and you're sitting there, you're like, and you think you're the only, like one of few that sees this. I think Bryson's playing well. It's like, let me fire a little bet.
Guy sinks a great putter. He seems to have a read on the green. All of a sudden, you're like, yep, I'm all in the next.
I can't tell you, as soon as I've placed bets, guys have like double bogeyed.
Yeah.
I swear to God. But anyway, it's still love golf betting, but yeah.
It's painful, but yeah. Anyway, before we get into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions, I do have a beef with my former employer in Kalamazoo and M Live. Which, and by the way, people might know I lived in Kalamazoo, worked for Kalamazoo Gazette. Yeah.
Hey, did you hear about Western Michigan?
So, boom, there it is. Western Michigan wins in the Frozen Four, right?
Yeah.
Playing Saturday for a national championship. And, I'm glad that the Detroit News is there. Because somebody is chronicling this there. Then they're covering it. Doing a great job they sent Connor Eargood down there. He loves Frozen Four. He's doing all sorts of cool stuff with Ferschweiler and Blashill and the original, how they created that program and, all those years ago when I was still there. And I'm loving it. Loving that he's doing these stories. But the Kalamazoo Gazette I do not believe there. If they are, then they're not. I got sent to me the list of seating assignments on press row and in the press box. They do not have a seat. And yet, so, first of all, let me start there. I understand that Western hockey may not be in your budget. But if you can't cover your community in, like, the biggest sporting events ever, then your purpose for existing I love some of the guys who cover the statewide sports for them. But your purpose for existing is those 8 markets. Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Flint, Bay City, anyway. If you can't cover a big deal event like this properly in your community, your purpose for existing ceases to exist, if that makes sense. Ceases, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the other problem is, so I see a story by them that has a dateline. I'm like, and it has quotes. But MLive uses datelines on places they aren't, just to sort of say where the event is, which is really disingenuous. I hate that policy, and I know they're upfront about it. They don't use datelines like other people. But it looks like the writer is there when they're not. And it's just press conference quotes that are, given to everybody and available. And so you save money that way. And the argument will be, well, overall Western hockey doesn't drive a lot of web traffic or a lot of eyeballs or a lot of subscriptions. But if you look on the Kalamazoo Gazette homepage, there's a Michigan hockey story you can find easier than you can a Western Michigan hockey story. You look on their main page, there's nowhere to be found. Homepages still matter. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you don't give something the play it deserves, the social media engagement, the proper play on your platforms, people don't see it and people aren't used to it. You've created this. I'm just annoyed. And I tweeted a little bit of dig at him last night. I try to, I understand that, look, everybody's doing their best in this business and people have different philosophies, and I have lots of friends over there. But these are the moments that really annoy me in our business, because at some level, we have to have a baseline purpose. There are easier ways than making money than being in the news business. And so, if you're not going to do the baseline thing that you should have a purpose doing, then just don't be in the news business.
And the Frozen Four is in Missouri, right?
It's in St. Louis. It's drivable.
It's drivable. What are we talking?
It's $1,000 trip.
$1,000 trip.
You talk mileage, hotel, meals, $1,000 trip.
Possible you get that sponsored somehow, affect the cost on it. But you need to spend money to kind of generate stuff, right?
It's not. Yes, correct. And it's not. Consistency and quality is how you get subscriptions. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah.
You can't just pop into stuff. But if you're gonna, you want your community to at least know that you're there for the big events. And I don't know. I'm really bothered by it. Had to get it off my chest. Couldn't begin the show unless I put that out there.
And there's 2 weeks between games. I mean, you could fundraise,
You don't. It's $1,000. You're a massive organization. Like you got to have a travel budget that can handle $1,000. But you didn't. You didn't have to travel extra for MSU basketball in the Final Four or anything. Like there's money to be had. The Lions didn't get to the Super Bowl. Like there's extra travel budget money to be had. Just find it. Traveling is not that expensive. You want to be taken seriously as an organization, you should be on the road. That's where the stories are. That's what I always say. But this particular, cover your community when the events are the biggest. Do it right. Chronicle history. Let people get excited about it. And they've done a decent job with the stuff back home and all that stuff, but it's just not the same. And it's hard to find the content on their website. And it's anyway. Just had to say that before I could properly begin a show.
So Couch is saying he's going to freelance and go cover it for him.
Don't need to do that.
Pro bono?
Don't need to do that. But I'm just a little bit annoyed. That's just where I'm at on this. All right. Should we dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions?
Unless you got anything else. I mean, I was interested in that. Eric Schultz up first. Graham keeps implying that NIL will stop being a significant source of player income once revenue sharing begins. Why would it go away? Doesn't it just mean there will be a bigger pot of money? Do you really think, say, Ohio State football will stop asking for NIL money and accept a more even playing field?
No, I don't, and that's why this gets interesting. It's, how will this all come to be? What will a clearinghouse look like? How legitimate will other NIL payments have to be? How sustainable are the collectives at certain places? I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what the pushback's going to be. I don't know if Congress will ever get anything done. I don't know what the final thing will look like. But I do think the revenue, if this House settlement goes through and rev sharing is in place, I do think there are people who are donating to the programs right now at even the biggest schools who will reassess how they're doing it. Like, what do I actually need to be giving? Because there's not that much return on investment. But yeah, that's the question. You got all these basketball programs. Some right now, you see reports of up to $10 million for. There are a lot of basketball teams do not bring in $10 million in profit. It's getting way out of whack. Basketball is going to have to get a hold of itself because it's not the sport it thinks it is in terms of revenue generator. And you see these things like this basketball program's worth this $164 million. Bullshit. Anybody who tells you that, block them on Twitter. Don't just mute them, block them. Wow. Shame them and block them because that's bullshit. And I don't know where they're getting that evaluation, but that's not real. That's not real tangible stuff. Anyway, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I don't know. It'll go away only if there is, teeth to the rules. And I don't know that these rules will ever have teeth again. I know that's been one of the things I've always found most interesting over at MSU, that they sort of have been targeting this date is the time that things will even out, and this is a better way of doing things. But I don't know that some of the programs are going to stop doing it the other way as well. And to be really, really competitive, you might also have to do that. I can't tell you that it's going to go away.
Jebediah next. Do you expect the Kaleb Glenn commitment to be MSU's biggest portal splash on paper?
I don't. So Kaleb Glenn.
The urinal or portal.
So probably should have mentioned this off the top, but Kaleb Glenn, the forward transfer from Florida Atlantic.
We heard.
Committed to Michigan State on Thursday. And it's a good get. It to me,
40% three-point shooter, guy finishes,
Yeah. No,
like
he's big wing, which they've started doing. He's a Frankie Fiddler replacement is what he is. And yet I think he's a little bit more upside than Fiddler. Does some things a little better. Doesn't shoot free throws as well. And kind of a weird dynamic where you have a guy who shoots 40% from three and like 63% from the free throw line. You don't usually see that. And that's sometimes worrying about.
Get him with Cohen Carr. They can work on it.
Yeah, but sometimes worried about, sustainability of three-point shooting. But that was over 111, 117. It took a ton of threes last year, made 40%. So I think he's a really good get. Can be a bucket getter, secondary scorer, can play the 3 or the 4. It would have really helped a couple different lineup issues that Michigan State had in the NCAA tournament this past month. But I think for Michigan State to be truly competitive at the top next year, there's got to be a bigger splash, and it's got to be a guard.
MZA next. Is it wrong to be concerned with the lack of scoring on the roster right now? Do you know of any targets the staff is monitoring to fill the void left by Richardson and Akins?
I don't know exactly who they're going after, but if I wouldn't be concerned yet, because this is the time where the talent procurement's happening, right? This is the period of time. If you get to June 1st and this is the roster, then you'd have some concern, because they don't have a clear leading scorer right now. They don't have a scorer. They don't have a guy that you look at and go, that's 15 points a game in the Big Ten. That's a guard who can create and shoot, and they don't have that. And so, but every year you're going to wind up with this a lot, where April is sort of this uneasy month of waiting to see who you wind up with. It's the new reality a lot of years. And so I wouldn't be concerned about it. I would be concerned about it if this were to be the final roster. It won't be the final roster.
MZA, is Kaleb Glenn a difference maker? And from MSU Spartfin, how does Kaleb Glenn fit into MSU's roster? Any chance we see MSU go small with him at the 3, Carr at the 4, and Kohler at the 5?
At times, absolutely. I think too often about like the idea of a starting lineup, and this is who is. And lineups are fluid, matchups are fluid. Glenn was a guy who came off the bench a lot last year, though he started 5 of the final 6 games. And I do think he is a guy who can be, you look at who Michigan State played in the NCAA tournament, those first few rounds where they struggled against undersized 4 men, like that. He's a good answer to that, right? He's a guy who can play that position. So I think it'll be matchup dependent to some degree, and how Kohler handles the 5 and all that stuff. I do not think Kaleb Glenn is going to start. I think the starting lineup will be a traditional big, likely Carson Cooper, Kohler at the 4, Carr at the 3.
Matt C. next. Is this latest portal cycle more likely to get Izzo to retire, or say F it and call Ishbia for the bag? I'd love to see Tom get one more crack at it with Duke-level talent.
Yeah, he didn't lose most of his team. He lost one guy to the pros, which has happened before the portal, and he lost one guy unexpectedly, and then he lost 2 guys that weren't playing. I don't think this has not been the portal cycle that will take down Izzo. The portal cycle that would have taken down Izzo is like Carr and Kohler were also in the portal. That's when you start going, check on whether Izzo wants to come back and keep doing this. But if he's able to keep the kind of the core and the culture in his program, guys who have helped be part of something, I don't think this makes him lean that way. I think what should have come out of the NCAA tournament, though, and what happened against Auburn and how close some of those other games were, is the realization that there is still another level to climb. And he probably knows this, because he didn't think he had an Elite 8 team coming into the year. But there is another level to climb if he wants to win another title. And so that's the goal. I have to think that is – they are not going out there thinking right now, let's get guys who can help us finish fourth in the Big Ten. They're trying to get guys who can be a team that can compete at the Final Four.
Next one from Matt C. Why is MSU spending $130 million on an Olympic park versus upgrading a falling apart Spartan Stadium? No wonder Haller somehow manages to lose money with this athletic department. Oh, good follow-up story at the LSJ. LOL.
Wait, which? We did the story on it. Am I supposed to do a follow-up on it? I don't know.
Yeah, man.
We'll get on it.
Welcome to the blue wall.
So to answer your question, though, Matt V, you can't. Football isn't everything. It isn't. I mean, I know people want it to be, but these. If you want to have a healthy athletic department and you want to be competitive in other sports, and you have sports that you value, you have to continue to invest in them. And gymnastics, practicing on the third floor of Jennison Fieldhouse, a 600-year-old building that is going to the NCAA championships as one of the top 8 programs in the country. That's not a sustainable thing if they don't have a new building. They've been recruiting to that new building, hoping it would happen, right? MSU volleyball, if they really want to, I guess that was a little less urgent because they moved to Breslin, although that was expensive. And this Olympic Park is more than the arena. The arena itself is not $130 million. Do they need this whole thing? Will it be really cool? I don't know, but it could be really cool. You have to keep trying to create new cool experiences, and you have to keep investing to make money. Do they need to renovate Spartan Stadium or do lots to it? They do, absolutely. But I don't think you neglect something like this for the sake of Spartan. It doesn't have to be an either-or proposition, is what I'm saying.
Scotty Green's El Camino. Is it possible that maybe, just maybe, Izzo has cracked the portal era code? Relative stability with 2 to 3 complementary pieces per year. Also, some people should be ashamed and maybe investigated for what they've said about Holloman.
His mom put out some people who've just been really, really, really mean. But that's every
anybody we know.
Not in our group. Yeah, okay. We got better people than this. It's you're always going to have that in a fan base. You're always going to have that on social media, and they might not be a fan base. They might be trolls from somewhere else who just want to be total dicks.
But I'm saying like anybody with a name, not someone that follows the show. I mean, anybody that. A name you saw, you go, oh, that guy. Did you recognize anyone?
I did recognize one of the names as somebody who I have muted, I believe. So usually those things carry over. Like if I've muted, just know you're an ass. Doesn't mean I'm not an ass. Doesn't mean Jason's not an ass. Doesn't mean there's not a lot of asses in this world. But you are definitely an ass if I've muted you. I mean, yeah, just know that. There's no coming back from that. You're an ass.
Original Darkman Antonio. All speculation was Trey Holloman had already been promised money from Arizona State or Texas Tech or was going to go home to Minnesota. But now he's visiting 4 other schools. If he commits to one of those 4 others, does that show a kink in the armor of Izzo's family bond type way?
No, I think it shows there's a kink in the armor to the idea that strength in numbers is something that is sustainable, that Trey Holloman is human, that the idea that he wants to be a starting point guard is a understandable.
But why
feeling.
wouldn't you do the tour? Like go 4 other schools. I mean, if they're going to offer you to bring you in and wine you, dine you. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd go check out other schools.
He's made the decision. He wants to try and go somewhere and be the guy 30 minutes a game running the point, and it wasn't going to happen at Michigan State. And maybe he'll get a better payday out of it. But if you're Trey Holloman, I understand that feeling. I understand why people are upset that he left because of the bond he created and all that stuff. I don't think it shows a kink in the armor of what Izzo's trying to do. I think it just shows that nothing's infallible. Like if you look at again, if a bunch of other guys had left, if a bunch of the other core guys had left, I think that would be something where you go, this doesn't work anymore at all. And maybe that happens some year, but I don't think this year in Holloman is the example of that.
Original Darkman Antonio. Izzo said this year reinvigorated him. If they finish 7th in the Big Ten and lose in the first weekend of the tourney next year, will that de-invigorate him, especially with his age and his hate of today's college basketball landscape?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can be absolutely de-invigorated, if that's a word. Just as well as you can be invigorated.
Like kink in the armor.
Yeah.
Just make that shit.
Yeah. I think it's a chink in the armor, is it?
You can't say that anymore, though. why it's
geez.
kink.
I see.
You
I see.
racist.
Yeah.
All right, Professor, do you have a burner account if on Twitter or Blue Sky? If so, how do you use it?
You have a burner account?
No. For what?
I have a Twitter burner. I have a couple Twitter.
You had to
burners.
fire off tweets at Trey Holloman and his mom.
Right.
Like, I mean, what?
That's it.
I have no, absolutely not.
I've had some that have gone dormant. For a while, we had ham slouch when I was on the road, and I would have like a thought in the press box, and we would do it. But that was sort of everybody knew it was me. I do have one burner account that nobody knows is me. That isn't really all that active, but I use it only occasionally to drop into like a spaces that I want to hear something on, and that's the only reason. I keep it. So
Sounds like a lot of work.
So
So
I
I
may-
forget between the couch and the rube, your personal, and this burner where you just jump into spaces.
So if you're hosting a Hallmark movie Spaces, I might be listening.
Why wouldn't you
Put
just jump on the couch and the rube account or your own or something like? Why would you need a burner for that?
Because these are embarrassing sites, embarrassing. Yeah.
Whoa, what are you listening
No, I'm
to,
just
man?
kidding.
Professor, considering the returning players next season, what style of two guard would be best for MSU?
Start somebody who can shoot, little playmaking, the point guard play. I mean, the point guard thing is real in the sense that you have to have. Right now, they have one guy who can run the point, and so that is problematic in a number of levels. Number one, you need more just to get through a game. If you were to have an injury or something, you got a real problem. So even though I think they need to bring in two more guards and probably one as a backup point guard, you want a two guard who's also a decent ball handler. But you need a shooter. You need somebody who's a shooter, who's a scorer, and obviously you want somebody who fits within the team dynamic and isn't like you don't want somebody who stops the ball, who's really inefficient or anything like that. But you want a player who's a playmaker. You need that.
Austin Wolf next. Like the outlook of next year's Hoops roster with more size and athleticism across the board coming from the portal and recruiting class. Same theory that has given MSU issues and what's been winning.
Yeah, I mean, if what you're talking about here is the size of, like when you look at next year's team on the wing, they have really good size and length on the wing now, and that's something they've needed and they've gotten better and better at. Fiddler was part of getting that, and that's just a couple years ago they were a little too small there. It turned out, and even if you're really talented, you can be in situations where the size just makes a difference.
C.E. Sikanga next. Do you get any sense that Izzo is intentionally trying to get longer at the wings? I think that's fairly necessary to get past the second weekend in the dance. Are the 23, 24, 25 recruiting and portal groups an indication that Izzo is wary of being under 6'3" at both wings?
I didn't mean to group these two together. Yeah, no, I think they knew that was an issue after 2024 when they were playing Jaden Akins on the wing. And as good as Akins was that year, and I mean, and as much as he can play up, and it really helps to have length. And you can see that difference. And so, yeah, no, I think that's been a very intentional thing. Look at just who they've recruited with Scott and Ward, the two freshmen coming in, and the size that they have and length and the types of players they're trying to get.
G.E. Miller and Corey Ostrom next. I hear a lot of MSU fans and media suggesting Izzo only needs one guard from the portal because Kurt Tang will step in. How can you replace 3 25-plus minutes per game guards with just 2, including one who couldn't find the court last year? You need at least 2, preferably 3, right? And from Thomas and Ostrom. If Izzo can only take one more transfer, and probably would only take one anyways, would he be more likely to get a combo guard to fill in for lost shooting or a big man to shore up the front court against dominant competition?
So you don't want to recruit over Kurt Tang, but you don't have to worry about that because he's going to be a sophomore. This is the mistake that Izzo made with Jackson Kohler and Carson Cooper 2 years ago when they were going into their sophomore years. Like, you're not recruiting over somebody who's going to be a sophomore. You're just saying somebody who's played a very limited role you can't trust yet to take that leap. And they'll know better what level they think he could be next year. I think Kurt Tang will be part of the rotation. I think they're planning on him being part of the rotation. They're not going to recruit to the point where they try to knock him out of the rotation. I think they think he's a starting caliber player at some point in his career. But that doesn't mean that next year he's ready to be that guy. And I think they very, very much know that. So yeah, you've got to right now find a score. To me, the priority is you have to, number one, just logistically find somebody who can run the point a little bit for you. But you need a scoring guard. You need somebody who's comfortable at this level being a headliner in terms of points. And maybe somebody else winds up being the leading scorer. Maybe Cohen Carr just takes another huge step, and that becomes a bigger part of his game. Maybe somebody like Kaleb Glenn, who, if you look at the jump he took from his freshman year at Louisville to sophomore year at Florida Atlantic, was pretty significant. Maybe he continues to grow, and that he's even better than they think, and they hope they have him for 2 years. Maybe Jackson Kohler is a guy that is consistent offense. Like, there's a lot of things that could happen, but you've got to recruit. You don't know you have that, and you need at least one player, I think, who's a little more proven bucket getter, and you think it will translate to this level, even if you get him from lower. I don't think Izzo's only going to take one more transfer. I don't think they're going to get to 10. I think they will get to 11. That would be my guess. I haven't been told that specifically, but I was told when it was 8, it would be at least 2. And so I think they'll get to I would be surprised if they're not at 3.
Travis Maynard, Graham, what are you most excited about for next year's MSU basketball team?
Just love hoops. No, I like seeing how people grow and change, and like what does Cohen Carr look like? That's fun to watch, right? What does Jackson Kohler become? What does Jeremy Fears become? What does Kurt Teng become? This is what do these freshmen look like? That's the fun of college hoops, is that you are in a stage of your life and you're in sports where you grow year to year, and guys change, and you bring in new freshmen, and there's turnover, and that's the most fun. Well, the only thing I didn't enjoy covering about the MSU team 2 years ago was that it was just sort of, even though there were some new pieces, there was a lot of the same guys, and a lot of the same stories have been there 3-4 years, and that's just not as fun.
Next one from Travis. Who will have a better three-point percentage, Cohen or Fears?
Who would you take if you had to bet?
Currently?
Bazooka to the head.
Well, Fears doesn't shoot terribly from 3, right? Because he shoots so few. I got to say, I didn't mind seeing Cohen shoot a couple threes last year, so I got to go with my guy Cohen until Fears shows me he can hit a 15-foot jumper. I don't know. I take Cohen.
What's the over-under prediction, you think, percentage for Cohen Carr next year? Should we set it at 37? Is that too high? It's pretty high, but
it is high. 34.5%.
34.5%? Okay. All right. Yeah, that seems like a good over-under.
Let me hammer that over. Travis Maynard, what's the single most important development for any current player on next year's squad? That's the one thing this team can't do without.
Shooting. Period. Like there's a world where there's a world where Kohler all of a sudden is much more consistent, and he was 11 for 19 to end the year, but not enough volume, right? And I don't know that it's trusted yet. And there's a world where Jeremy Fears is, good enough there, and Cohen Carr is more consistent there, and that who Kaleb Glenn was as a sophomore translates, and they bring in a guy, and there's a world where they have more than enough shooting, and it's a really good situation. There is a world where they don't have enough shooting. Like, any of those things could be, but to me, for all the things that you can look at each player and say this is important, they need to do this, but if all those guys uptick their 3-point percentage, by a reasonable amount, and I think that would be it.
Spartan 231 next. Do you think or have any intel on if Izzo and staff prefer to recruit one position at a time in the portal, or are they reaching out to all positions at the same time?
So I don't know exactly how they're working this right now. It's not a one-at-a-time thing for sure. But in terms of, they do have sometimes certain priorities, and it's like anything in recruiting. This is the guy you're zeroed in on. This is the guy you're offering first. You don't want two of the same position saying yes. And the thing that makes it easier now, and it would be easier for a recruit, is the money. When they offer you the money, where they're truly offering you how badly they want you, and you have to allocate that too. They know at this point what they have to offer people.
Maybe next. Do you buy anything from a door-to-door salesman? Jason, I understand this is a hypothetical in Ovid.
Do you buy anything from door-to-door salesman? Ever?
Why is it a hypothetical? We don't have doors in Ovid? I don't get it. You guys wrote this probably joke together, so what does this mean? What is she talking about? Why is it a hypothetical in Ovid? I know that.
Well, it's a good question.
Oh, Okay.
She's playing chess, and we're at the checkers level, so I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. No, hell no. I don't even open the door if someone came by.
Okay. Do people come by and you hide, like behind your couch?
No, hell no. But I'm supposed to answer the door, and all of a sudden I'm engaged with. I would stand right at the window and just shake my head side to side. No.
Is that what you do? Like people have come to the door and you've
yeah, but it was like Trump dudes, like back in before the election last year.
And
But we don't really get.
Okay.
No. I just, what am I going to do with this guy showing up here? You could tell what was on his truck. I just have no time or place for. I mean, anyone coming unannounced door to door selling anything, it's either a scam or whatever, right? Like unless it's the Schwann's, the meat guy or something like that. But we don't do any of that stuff. I'm not like opposed to it, but a door to door sale. Do guys do that? Do people do that anymore?
If you don't have ice cream or donuts, I really don't want to see you. But
you should see our ice cream guy that drives around in a van with the music and.
Not sure you want to see him either.
Well, it's very curious because you're like, wait a minute, how many people are buying ice cream from this guy in a van in the middle of Ovid?
Are you saying
like, how much
front?
money is he making? Anything's possible. I mean, it's been a front. I mean, the ice cream guy sometimes has been a front for a lot of crimes.
That's one of my favorite things about living on the west side of Lansing. There are places you walk in, you're like, this is absolutely a front. There's just the inventory is too low.
Well, then show me where the good shit is. I'm down for a good front, but where's the good stuff? You know.
I will every once in a while those people selling new new energy that you can get rid of consumers and do this. And
that's
they come
a
by.
big scam.
Yeah, that's not. They come by, and the only time I ever
aren't they aggressive too?
Pretty aggressive, and they're like, "Yeah, we can lock this in right now." Like, luckily, I'm able, without lying, to just say, "Yeah, my wife makes all the decisions, and she's working. You have to come back another time."
You can just say no, right? And then they're like, "Let me see your bill."
Sometimes I do that. Yeah. It
depends on the mood. Balls. I could not imagine going up to someone's house and then getting aggressive. Right?
It's
Jesus, what a profession. There's got to be some way to make a buck.
Well, and I've done, like, I had a buddy run for a state rep, and I helped him door to door when he was running. This is a long time ago. This is like 2010.
Oh, okay. Before we knew you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was quite an experience because, door to door is that's also politics, right?
Oh.
You get different responses. Now, it was a primary, so you knew everybody was probably in the party you were, so it's not, you're going on a list. You're not just going blindly a door to door, but that was an experience. Yeah, you get people ask you all sorts of questions that have nothing to do with state politics, and you just got to trying to.
But I'm saying if you have the balls to go up to someone's house and then get aggressive with that tactic of trying to get their bill down or something, wouldn't you be better off just going to working at a Verizon or like a Xfinity or something to where it's a laid back environment if you have good balls as a salesperson?
Yeah,
I feel like that's half the part of being a salesperson.
It seems like there would be easier things to sell.
Yeah.
Or easier ways.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, go get your energy bill. Like, fuck you. What is this?
Yeah.
Anyway.
That is a story almost worth telling, by the way, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. If you're looking for a place to watch the Masters, some Tigers, a great date night this weekend in downtown Lansing, Midtown Brewing Company is here for an awesome menu, great drink selection, just good vibes. It'll show the person you're with that you took some time to thinking the place you wanted to be. It's got character. It's not cookie cutter, right? And it's got something for everybody on the menu.
Next one from maybe me. Should I be flattered to be considered young at 41 or insulted to be presumed a car-keying psycho?
There sounds like there's a story here. Car-keying psycho.
You're going to have to ask.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Michelle, you've got to fill us in. So we need the explanation on understanding this is hypothetical and Ovid, and then we also need what happened, because this would be a story worth telling. I would take
an explanation before might be better than after.
Yeah, I would take the flattery, but also car. Yeah,
car-keying psycho.
Did you key somebody's car? Have you ever keyed somebody's car?
No.
It's mean.
Why would I key someone's car? That's terrible.
Yeah, it is.
I can't deal with that. Like flatten a tire maybe, but even that's kind of bush, but it depends on the person. But keying a car, nah, I can't do it. Because what if you're caught on video?
Well, nowadays you don't want to do it, right?
Right.
Back in the day before Ring doorbells, when we were teenagers, you might be able to get away with it.
Oh, easily. We could throw rocks into cars,
paint
car
windows,
windows,
whatever you wanted to do. Yeah, it was.
But now it's like Teslas; they got 90 cameras on them. And can you imagine that video of you keying a car?
It's just such
40-something years old.
There's certain things that are such jerk things to do. Like even when I was a kid, like toilet papering somebody's house.
Yeah,
it was a pain in the butt to take that stuff down. But we all did it to each other in friend groups and whatever, and it was just part of what you did. But it wasn't like lasting damage. It was pain in the ass damage. And there's a big difference. When you key somebody's car, you really...
Like egging a house, but when you're young enough to, I don't own a house. I don't even know what that means. But when you grow older and you go, God damn it, I feel so bad now for egging houses and seeing what they have to do to get it off there. But Emma Aurelius next had a pistachio donut from Groovy Donuts, and it was groovy good. That's my comment for the week. It's baseball season.
Appreciate you. Well, anybody who wants can have this feeling that Emma Aurelius had at Groovy Donuts. They're open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. And if you are going to sit back and watch the Masters or the Pure Options or whatever your vibe is this weekend, get yourself a half dozen Groovy Donuts, a dozen Groovy Donuts, maybe a half dozen plus two that your spouse doesn't know you also got, so you don't have to share all of them. You can do what me and Elizabeth do and get 6 Groovy Donuts and take bites out of each of them.
Well, that's what Elizabeth does.
Right, and then she leaves, and I grab them out of the garbage.
You play along.
Yeah, right. It's a whole different raccoon Graham comes out at night. But anyway, Groovy Donuts is here to make any weekend better, any gathering. If you're starting to think about graduations, your own open house, somebody else's, bring Groovy Donuts. It'll improve the vibe. You're just bringing joy to any environment, especially if you're somebody who's an ass. They'll much appreciate you being there if you have Groovy Donuts. If you don't have a personality, bring Groovy Donuts. It'll completely make up for it. Go to groovydonuts.com to place your orders today. All sorts. They're happy to cater, a big open house or a big party, whatever it might be.
Do you ever blame the stolen cat that you guys let into your house? If Elizabeth gets mad at you or something, you go like, oh no, the cat might have eaten it. If you don't know, Couch lets a neighborhood cat inside of his house for multiple days.
Yesterday, it was on top of my recliner above me most of the day while I was working.
That's so weird.
It's just, yes.
A cat has a home.
It prefers our home.
Just hanging out.
It spent one night there.
I would dig that as long as the owners were cool, like you've talked to them or
They're
something.
clearly an outdoor cat. They clearly know it. I mean, the cat, we're not the only house the cat is using. Otherwise, because there are days the cat doesn't come by, and there are days it comes by 4 times and yells at me when I don't let it in right away. It's
Now, this cat is a great door-to-door salesperson.
Very much so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's also
God, getting into houses.
It's also the Omar of the neighborhood. You do not see other cats around. This is
hell yeah.
This cat runs the hood.
Preston Zantello next. Can you go to St. Louis to cover the Broncos? Kalamazoo natty quick takes would be incredible.
Yeah, considered it. Especially with Isaac Howard there for the Hobie Baker. Thought about going down and then, would figure a way to do something there with them. But
wouldn't this be a good thing for a young person trying to get a name for themselves in the sporting kind of world to go there? Right? Maybe if you live in Michigan, live in the Kalamazoo area, and you're an aspiring sportscaster or a sports columnist or something like that, to take the initiative and go. I know it sounds crazy. You could pay out of your own pocket or something, but right? To go cover. I just can't. I agree with you because it's crazy. If they are the national champions and you don't have anyone there from your own paper in Kalamazoo, it's just wild.
And maybe they're going to go down for the championship game. I hope so, but it's not. It's no way to do community journalism. It's just it's
crazy.
It sucks.
Ken Chu next. Why don't TVs and streaming apps have a ticker blocker option? So if you're watching the Frozen 4, you can avoid seeing the score of the Red Wings game until you catch up.
We'll talk to Xfinity Comcast about this because this seems like something they could, would be nice to have. It would be nice to have this option. As we get more and more high tech, we should have more and more ways not to have things we want to see later ruined.
We need to start with the National Weather Service first. I know that's not really a cable situation, but we have to figure that out. And then the ticker blocker, because when we were watching in Vegas, because sometimes different TVs are on delay. If you're watching on multiple TVs, you would see a score that would go faster than the other game that you had on the secondary TV.
Yeah, no, this
is weird.
What's interesting watching soccer, and I don't know if this is if you watch on a normal Saturday morning, they will have at 10 a.m. They'll have one game on USA that's the featured game, and then every other game that's on at 10 will be on Peacock, and you can watch any game you want. If you're on USA, it'll have all the scores. All the scores are showing at all time, like they're running through the scores. If you're on Peacock, it shows nothing else. It's like you're the only game in the world. And sometimes I wish it was that way with USA. Sometimes I want to watch a game later. I'm not somebody who's big on that, but every once in a while I'm like, God, if I could just not see what that score was, it would be helpful.
Ken Chu, why don't blah blah blah? Alex Mayer, if you started on the edge of the green and only had to putt, what would your score at Augusta be? I think this is coming from the Against All Odds guys had on. I don't remember the golfer they had on, but he said that he could win if he just had to putt because he could 3-putt all day on those greens.
Well, yeah, I mean, you think, I mean, what's par is 70, right, or 72 or something,
right? 72,
and so 18. Even then I wouldn't do it. I mean, yeah, because some of these,
if I was an excellent putter, I just would have to say I don't think,
especially people watching, and the pressure would start to get them out, and it would be
there's all the variables you have to,
and it would be embarrassing that you were starting while they were starting from the actual tees. You were starting from the right.
Wait, so they play the tournament as regular?
yeah.
You just go right up to the green.
So there's that too.
Yeah,
I don't think I could. What would my score be? I mean, some of these greens look really hard. I would average a 4-putt, I think.
Alex Mayer, as it stands right now before the spring portal, your biggest concern for the football team is blank.
Always the offensive line. To me, and again, I don't know that it's – I think they've made some strides there, and they might be better, and I think they've got a good coach there, and there are reasons to think it could be this year. It has been a decade. And so at this point, you just have to see it to trust it. And because they haven't, I also think Aiden Childs, the real key to him taking a stride for everything he may be able to do and everything they're working with him on, he's got to be protected. He's got to have time. Like it just makes such a difference. The offensive line, to me, I think they'll have enough at receiver. Obviously, they have Nick Marsh, and I think a couple of the guys they brought in are going to be good complementary players. I think they'll be fine certain areas of defense. We'll see on the defensive line. But if that offensive line at some point doesn't become a plus for you, you can only get so far.
Ethan Charmella next. Bigger overall impact at MSU when their career ends, Kerr Tang or Jordan Scott?
Jordan Scott is the freshman guard wing coming in who's I have no idea. This is, because all I know of Jordan Scott is like YouTube highlights I've seen, and that's not really fair. And Kerr Tang.
Hey, that's enough tape to crush. You can get a vibe. No?
I mean, I watched Kerr Tang dominate Moneyball, so he's got that. I don't really have a sense of that. It would be.
How are his thighs? Get a sense of his thighs in that tape?
I have not had a great look at Jordan Scott's thighs, and so it's also hard for me to tell.
Ethan Charmella, best MSU football road trip this year: USC, Minnesota, Nebraska, Indiana, or Iowa?
So part of the problem with this year's Michigan State football road schedule, which is in the home schedule, road schedule, it's a good schedule. It's a fun schedule. But they're in the wrong order, right? If Iowa was in September 21st or 2nd, whenever that game is, and USC was in November, then it's like L.A. in November. Instead, you're going to freeze your ass. Iowa's a great place to go. I mean, Iowa's a fun college football experience. In late November, I can't guarantee it's not going to be freezing, though. In late September, that would have been incredible. So you get L.A. in September when you don't really need L.A. Minnesota's like, Halloweenish? Minnesota's a cool city. I don't. Nebraska, if you haven't done it, I love Bloomington too. These are all good. They're all good for different reasons. I love Bloomington. Nebraska, I love Lincoln.
Could you narrow it down at all for the people?
Yeah, sorry.
Maybe to 2 or.
I could make an argument for all 5 of these. I would probably choose Nebraska, just if you've never done it, to do Nebraska football on just once would be great.
TC Brunzi next. The Masters weekend is the single greatest consecutive day sporting event in the world. Agree?
Consecutive day. Well, how many consecutive day sporting events are there?
Well, March Madness.
Oh, I guess you see what you're saying.
I mean, I would say before this whole college sports world went upside down with NIL and stuff.
First weekend of March Madness.
I think March Madness was, yeah. But, I mean, the Masters gets people who don't watch. I just say that because I had a roommate back in the day that he didn't really like golf and would watch the Masters every round. Right? I just think it's just an unbelievable event. It's just wild to watch, especially on TV. And if you can go to it and all the mystique like surrounded it.
Yeah, I really want to go. It's
God.
Increasingly becoming a bucket list. And the more people I listen to who go and how they never get sick of it, like it's the thing that, that year after year they are just as excited when they walk in. Like at this point, I just got to go. I mean, there are things that, don't get me wrong, I never get tired of walking into an NCAA tournament first round site. Like to me, that is fun. You just feel the March Madness. So I'm saying that is up there. But I haven't been to the Masters. And the one, and then this.
I guess a World Series you could throw in there too. It's a multiple day event, consecutive day.
Yeah, that's true. A good, that's. It's a good question. The Masters is, especially though you get a good Sunday finish with the Masters. It's the whole weekend is about as good as you can get.
TC Brunzi, why are my apathy levels for college sports growing fast each year? What is driving my I really don't care anymore attitude?
It's you're losing a connection to players, and look, it may have always been a little different, right? And that the athletes were not having the same experience you, not choosing the school for the same reasons, and maybe not always feeling as connected. But you didn't know that, or you didn't feel it the way you do now. It wasn't quite as transactional. And it's just not, the difference between pro and college sports, which always made college sports special, is in pro sports we root for laundry. In college sports you root for a school. For a lot of people, that's the way. And that created a different connection. And we are getting to a point where it's just going to be laundry and free agency, and it's not the school
and
really.
What would happen if, let's say, I don't like saying these kind of things, but Izzo retires after next season? Then, hopefully, I'm just hoping that Izzo can stay around long enough to where the college basketball, college sports landscape kind of changes to where we have more of a sense of what these guys get paid and all that stuff. But if Izzo leaves, I got to say, I've grown up with Izzo. Heathcote a little bit, but Izzo a majority of my life. And to see him go and to see the way that college sports goes, I got to say, man, I'm scared to even think about it, because Izzo can keep me coming back year after year. And I think no matter what.
I think a new coach with one exciting season would do it. But I think you are right. If Izzo, the greatest thing Izzo can do for the program right now, other than keep them relevant and contending and all that stuff, is weather this period of uncertainty. Right. And so by the time Izzo goes, there is an understanding of how this is going to work, that it's going to work, what it's going to look like, and MSU knows its path, because I think it's easier with Izzo right now.
The urinal or portal.
Voice of Gorham Softball, at any point were you concerned that you lose the Pure Option sponsorship with your garbage defund the football team opinion?
It was a that look. It was an opinion. It was a baked take, right? It was I'm just saying, if you really wanted to there are schools that would want to do that. Like if you told Indiana loved what they didn't. I don't know there are schools that would do that actually, but I'm just saying there is a path in this new model to dominating in basketball by just casting aside football, but still showing up on Saturdays. It exists. If you really,
baked.
You haven't done everything possible you could do to win in basketball until you've done that.
ADMG take. Voice of Gorham Softball. Will you consider changing the thigh test to the quad test?
It's a lot less creepy to say quad test, so I'll probably stick with thigh, Yeah.
Quad test sounds official. Thigh test just sounds like, okay, this guy's lost his shit.
Yeah. No, I've got a reputation to keep.
Steve Beckman, if money wasn't an object, where would you go for your ideal vacation this summer?
Where would you go? No object.
Money, no object. Damn. Hawaii. I'm just worried about the flight.
The length of it.
The length of it. Yeah. I'm just really, I don't have a need to go more than 5 hours in a plane, because I don't want to go to Mexico anymore. I don't really want, I don't know. So it's just, Hawaii has been a destination. Like T's son who just went to Australia for the boxing, the training over there, like that. I got, secondhand info from his trip, and I'm just like, oh my God, that would be unbelievably insane. So 15 hours.
My tip for Hawaii, every time I've done Hawaii before this last trip, has always been broken up with 2 4.5 hour flight type things, right? You fly to LA or Phoenix or wherever, and you have a layover, and that kind of breaks it up. You get out, you have a meal, you want to stretch your legs, you're out of the plane. This was the first time we did directly to Detroit to Honolulu, and then Honolulu to Maui. It was like 10 hours, 9 hours, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. I was really nervous about it, especially after talking to you about it. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this. But, if I had some work to do, you got movies. They understand it's a long flight too. They're not, you get extra meals. It's a little different than most flights.
Full can of pop.
Yeah, the whole thing.
It's nice of them.
Everybody going in with the vibe, we're in this together. We got to get through these next 10 hours. just the plane is big. It feels sturdier.
Do you get up and walk? I mean, is there an ability to like stand up and walk around more? Because that's my concern.
100%. You see more people going up and down the aisles here and there to stretch their legs. It just feels like everybody sort of understands 10 hours is a long freaking time, and we're gonna. And so, but I think if you go into it like I did, fearing it doesn't feel that long. You're like, oh my god, that wasn't so bad.
Just in constant fear. Steve Beckman, do LSJ readers care more about spring football or basketball portal transfers?
Oh, basketball portal transfers. And this is my favorite thing about covering Michigan State. Favorite thing in the world is, well, there are a couple things. One, that there's this sort of evenness between basketball and football. That I would hate to work any place where they sort of cared about basketball. Like even Florida. I'm telling you, most of their beat writers probably don't travel most of the season at Florida. They pick it up later, and even when they're really good. That is a football place, right? And you do a football story in January. You do a football. And at MSU, not only is it even, but when it flips, it flips. And there are times like April is not – it's bad for spring football in that sense, but what's really happening anyway, but just practices, it is still basketball season in people's minds. And we see it in the web traffic. It's at least 5 times over. And the other favorite thing is Moneyball, because people still it's basketball season in July. You don't have to worry about football then either. It doesn't create this longer buildup. So it's basketball portal over spring football easily, and that makes football season better too, because it doesn't feel like you've written the same thing 400 times when you actually get to football season.
Next one from Steve: should college sports adopt the same loan system as pro soccer, where top teams send their bench players to other teams for a season?
The problem is this is actually supposed to be based on an educational system, like a college. Like if you send somebody else, I guess everything's online now anyway, but you're enrolling and unenrolling and transferring. I mean, the idea is great. Like you get Kurt Tang last year. It's like, well, this guy for us is only going to play this many minutes, so we'll send him to them where he'll be a starter, right? And he gets a whole year starting, and then we get him back. That would be the English system with a young player like that. And there's merit to it. Just I don't know if it works in the college world.
Gordo Evans next. If the transfer portal date remains the same, will players begin skipping the second weekend of the tournament? Would someone in Xavier Booker's situation this season be smart to minimize the risk of practice and injury and let other teams know he's available?
Yeah, I don't think you'll get there. It's just I don't think you'll see it with the playoff very much either. Like occasionally maybe a really deep bench player, but like in college football playoffs, that's one of the reasons you go to 12 and you don't have the opt-outs, because this is what you're playing for all season. You might as well opt out of week 6 if you're going to opt out of the playoff. You might as well opt out 5 weeks ago if you're not going to play in the NCAA tournament. Like to me, and I understand the portal's just entering. I think what could happen, and we'll see if coaches get used to this, is guys enter the portal even though, and we're starting, I think there were a couple examples of this, even though their team is still playing. And that doesn't mean they're not any more committed to that season, but they're just letting people know they might leave. I don't know if we get there. I think the portal date really needs to move. And I understand for a lot of teams that'd be a whole month of nothing. But I think the portal date needs to move to like the Wednesday after the Monday national championship game. That's when the portal should actually open.
Gordo Evans next. Let's say that Izzo would have taken that Cavs job if MSU won the national title in 2010. Would a national championship be worth not having Izzo for the last 15 years?
I don't think he takes that Cavs job in 2010 regardless. I think
even if Braun comes back?
Well, Braun comes back, he does. But I don't think the national title was the factor. I think the factor for Izzo was he couldn't get LeBron James on the phone. They were trying to figure out what was going on in the decision, and so that was not a good sign.
That should tell you.
If LeBron James, national title or not, had picked up the phone and said, yeah, I'm coming back to Cleveland, I think Tom Izzo takes that job. And so I think that was much more the deciding factor.
Aiden's child next. With Jace leaving, who would be more likely to withdraw from the portal, Trey or Gehrig? Need a combo guard, need a 3-point shooter.
It would probably be Trey. At this point, that would be seem a little weird. But the strange thing is
it weird though?
It might not
in
be
today's climate. I don't know. I'd be like, all right, I get it.
In some ways, if you're Trey, you just wish it was a silent portal. Nobody knew you were in it until you were gone. That sort of thing.
Well, then there would be no money.
That's true. But Trey Holloman is exactly what the problem for Trey is. Trey Holloman is exactly what MSU needs. Is the second guard they need to get in the portal. They need a starting caliber, shooting guard. And I don't know that Trey Holloman, like if you just plug next year's roster, and you put Trey Holloman in it, you've got a lot of guys who are maybe good enough to be the third best player on the team, maybe some second best, who knows? You've got a lot of really good players, but you don't have a guy. And Trey Holloman is exactly what you need, is a guy who can play either guard position, can back up Fears. Like, he's perfect. You're looking for a Trey Holloman. But I think you need something more than that in the starting spot. So, but I'd be surprised if either of those guys came back.
Some dude, which is worse to watch all day long? Transfer portal news or the stock market? I think these things both activate the same part of the brain.
Yeah, I try not, I'm not watching it all day long. I don't either all day long. Either all day long. Like I have alerts set up if certain things happen, and let me know. But it's just maddening. Like, this guy may commit, this guy did not. You just But I'm also not in the. You
don't watch Jim Cramer all morning
to watch stock market news.
Yeah,
no. I'm a ways from retiring, and at this rate, I'm a long ways from retiring.
Some dude, if college basketball goes to 6 fouls, would that just give these guys a reason to call more of them?
That's the fear. That's the argument when the Big East did it, that it gets more physical or they call more or whatever. I think what I've settled on, 6 fouls.
Let's try it.
6 fouls is my favorite choice, right? But beyond that, it would be one guy could go to 6. And if you knew that, one guy was going to be able to go to 6 without, get 5 and not be fouled out, it would avoid the star, the one guy who gets 3 in the first half. It would worry fearing that player getting a third foul or whatever, a fourth foul. I think that would be a big – if you could get to the point where one guy can get to 6 before fouling out, that would go a long way towards changing how coaches played guys when they picked up a ticky-tack foul. It'd take some of the pressure off one bad call. That would be my first step toward 6 fouls.
Some dude, seems that both Fears and Holloman were epic shit talkers. Couch, you're really close to the action in the Brez. Anything good you can share that you witnessed firsthand?
I mean, Fears has this smugness to him when he's doing it. It's different than Holloman. Fears is in your face. He's looking at you. Fears is the one who's trying to make you doubt crush your confidence, make you doubt yourself, whether you know how to dribble. I would much rather play against Trey Holloman because it's a shit talking from a different place. It's a shit talking. The Jeremy Fears shit talking is there is something deep in him that is intimidating the way he does it, and I don't know if there's a specific thing, but it's in his eyes. It's how he looks at you after he does something, or how you screw something up, or how he looks at the bench. It's in the deep recesses of his soul, and it would not go well. I could just feel myself getting the ball taken from me constantly as I tried to dribble against him. I don't know if I'm trying to think of a specific instance right now where I just thought there was something really funny said, because I think Holloman, some ways, he'll get into you, he'll clap in your face, but he likes to be provoked before it happens. Fears is doing the provoking. That's sort of the difference between the two of them.
MSU Optimist next. Any scoop on additional urinal targets? Should be able to get a solid 2 guard. Asking anyone decent to come be backup point guard is a tall task. A single combo guard doesn't feel like enough, but maybe that's strength in numbers, recency bias.
Yeah, I don't know who it's going to be. I mean, I hear some of the names you have, and I check in once in a while, but I don't know from day to day. This stuff moves fast, and I'm not going to, I'm not checking in like on the hour with staffers or things like that, and to see what's changing. But I do think when you talk about a single combo guard, like picture Tyson Walker. If Tyson Walker, now when he came as a junior, he was not the player he became during his second and third year, right? So you have to keep that in mind. But say Tyson Walker, junior year Tyson Walker was available. Guy who absolutely can run the point guard, scorer, smaller guard still, absolutely could fill both roles. I still think there is a little bit of a danger of, like, if there is an injury, you've only got one. Like, who on that team can run it? Who can actually run the point? You went from having a team where you had a bunch of guys that could do it to not having. I mean, in a pinch, Akins could have been that guy. In an injury, your backup point, and you had Holloman who wanted to be a point. You had Richardson who wanted to be a point. Like the guys they've lost largely have been those guys. So I think they probably need to add 2 just to be safe. Let's take a really quick break here. We come back. More of your groovy donut questions. What day is it? It is Friday. Our Friday afternoon show, presented by our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, and of course, Pure Options Craft Cannabis.
Hey, sports fans, are you tired of the same old routine? Looking for a way to unwind after a long day? Look no further than Pure Options, the premier destination for all of your cannabis needs in Lansing, Detroit, Muskegon, and Mount Pleasant. Whether you're cheering for the Lions, Spartans, or the Wolverines, Pure Options has everything you need to elevate your game day experience. Mention Couch the Rube when you visit Pure Options and get a Pro Grow 8th with a $50 purchase. It's our way of saying thank you for being a loyal listener. Swing by Pure Options today and elevate your cannabis experience to a whole new level. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch and the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch and the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Find Couch and the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch and the Rube, presented by Pure Options Craft Cannabis. Download the app today. Go to pureoptions.com. For location information, Lansing, Muskegon, Mount Pleasant, Detroit. Some great April deals there at pureoptions.com. Swing by any location. Let them know we sent you. They always appreciate that. Great deals for first-time customers as well. And our Friday afternoon show brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. More of your Groovy Donut Twitter questions.
All right, John Naughty next. When Izzo says you asked a good question, do you take it as a compliment to your question or an insult to all of your other questions he didn't say were good?
I don't take it as an insult to the others. Sometimes I take it to an insult to my actual question that he thinks it was a good question. So I'm like, dang it. That's not. No, I'm kidding.
Don't coach my team.
If I truly think it was a well-crafted question that nobody else has thought of, and he thinks and he says it, you take it as a compliment. When he says it to a student journalist, I really like it because that doesn't even mean it was a good question. It just means nice job having the courage to ask, and so that's when I appreciate hearing it.
Right now, either you're stuttering or I'm not picking it up because it's a what. So.
John, Graham, do you think Jace will still take finals or say, this shit sucks, I'm out?
I think he'll take finals because you go this far. He's a decent student. You know, smart kid, and like I just can't imagine you've already taken most of the semester. You might as well finish it. And a lot of guys come back and eventually finish degrees, and if you just blow off the rest of it, it makes it harder to do. A lot of these guys want to do that later in life. I would guess he finishes in good standing and does his finals.
Next one from John. Graham, Izzo isn't recruiting or transferring over current players. How far does he take that? Like if Holloman could still possibly come back, is there a spot held for him that Izzo communicates to potential replacements? For example, we'd love to have you, blank, potential player, but we're waiting to see if Holloman leaves. Or does Izzo say once you hit the portal, you out?
I think once you hit the portal, your spot is no longer there. Now there may be exceptions if there was an incredible player and it's different with the draft situation. But your spot is no longer reserved, and so Holloman, they're not.
We're just waiting to see if Trey's coming back or not. So I hope you're patient.
And I also think that they're looking for a player that produces in terms of offensive production more than Trey Holloman. So I don't, the guys that they're really in conversation. Now, if you're looking for a backup point guard, yeah, and Holloman is more than just a backup point guard. But what I mean is the guy they really need at guard right now is somebody who has a little more scoring punch to them than Trey has shown consistently.
Skylar Verdon, why do I let myself get hurt by Rory and the Masters time and time again? He was golfing so good Thursday and then 2 double bogeys on the final 4 holes.
But yeah, as we speak, and live stuff on a podcast there's a live podcast. It's not great, but he is up to
he's 6 under.
Yeah, he's 6 under. He's only 2 off the lead right now. So you're
16
back in at Bryson's 7 and Justin Rose is still at 8. So, and
he should have shot a 6 under yesterday as well.
I've got $70 million on all 3 of those guys, so it works out. All 3 of them have to win.
MSU optimist Jason got a new Masters bets to sprinkle after Thursday. Yesterday I panicked a top 10 for Shane Lowry, who is currently 5 under. So who knows how I'm sure as soon as I say that, he's end
tied
up
for 5th right now,
bombing out. But after today's second round, who knows? Sprinkle a couple things. David Jackson next, who is the football team's best NFL prospect for next year's draft. And while you're at it, can you identify the team's second best receiver? Feel free to use a lifeline and phone Solari if you need assistance with your answer.
Thank you, David.
Graham.
So I don't know the draft situation. I don't know. I mean, it would probably be Aiden Giles, to be honest. If they were to have a guy who was a really good draft prospect, it means he had a big year. When you just look at overall talent, I don't know that that'll happen. I'm just saying, looking at talent and guys who will be draft eligible next year. The receiver thing, I think both the guys they brought in, Amari Kelly from Middle Tennessee State and Christian McCray from Kent State, are both intriguing. Kelly probably the most so. So I would guess he is the most likely to be their second receiver.
David, I was watching Bad Boys videos on YouTube, and Robin and Lambeer buckets got me thinking, why don't we set back screens to free up Carr for baseline dunk lobs? Why wait for defensive lapses? And why aren't Fears and Kohler running a 2-man Zeke Lambeer game to get Kohler open 3-pointers? Hell yeah, David, crushing Bad Boys tape.
I love it.
Coming up with screenplay. I mean, come on. Get him on the horn with Izzo.
This is beautiful, David. I do think that they would like to like if you look at some of the plays that won them some big games in like the national championship way back. You want to talk about crushing tape, like the AJ Granger shots. Some of the stuff that was like Cleve setting a screen for Granger to pop out and stuff like that. Like, I do think there are all sorts of things that if Kohler can be a consistent stretch guy, that you're able to do. And it's it's Fear's show. He'll have a year under his belt. He'll have a summer to work. It'll be interesting to see what they're able to do with the Carr stuff. The more Cohen Carr, the better. I would hope they're looking at every possible way to get him the ball near the rim, and whether that's him taking to the rim or catching the ball at the rim or whatever. I mean, I don't think you can have too much Cohen Carr next season.
I'm glad to hear you come around. David Jackson Graham, Elliot Friedman reports that Isaac Howard and the Tampa Bay Lightning weren't simpatico on where everything stood at this time, so Isaac's returning to MSU. I ask, have you ever spoken the word simpatico aloud or even used it in a column even once? Follow-up, are writers pretentious?
Some of us, sometimes, yeah. It can be. Now, Elliot does nice work and covering college hockey. Yeah, and I've read a lot of different things and seen things, and I don't know all the particulars with Isaac Howard, but it does seem like the Lightning could not offer him Like, he wanted to be on the roster now. Like, a lot of guys, they come up now, it starts your service time, or it gets you towards your second contract, all that stuff. That was not there for him, potentially. And so he's going to come back, and he may wind up with the Lightning eventually, or may be able to pick his spot. But he didn't like the situation, and they do have some salary cap stuff, and they've got a good. There just wasn't promised NHL time right now, and I think that was what he didn't like.
Gorjo next. Which Aiden has a better comeback season, Childs or Hutchinson?
Well, these are two different things, because Hutchinson, right, was like incredible before he got hurt, and Childs was up and down and all over the place a little bit.
One guy broke his leg, and
right,
there's that storyline. And
so I would say it's Aiden Childs. Well, they're both Aiden. Sorry, I would guess it's Childs, just because he has more room to grow. Like, if Hutchinson comes back and he got hurt early in the year, like we expect Hutchinson to be what he was a year ago, right? So you're not going to be better. He was really, really good at the beginning of last year, right? I don't know. That would be my answer.
G Money, Scooble is the best Tigers pitcher since blank.
Who is it?
Guillermo Hernandez.
Peak Verlander?
Easily.
Scherzer?
Yeah.
Peak Scherzer. I mean, they had
Verlander's homegrown. I'm like,
yeah,
I would go Verlander. I love Mad Max, though.
Man, that year when they had Verlander.
I don't want to talk
Scherzer,
about it.
Jesus.
We had a great, we had a great rotation.
Okay.
It was fantastic. We didn't win a fucking World Series. G Money, if Aiden Childs has the same interception problem as last year, is he invited as the starter the following year?
Well, I think so. Aiden Childs has abilities that they're going to have trouble to replace, and there are guys in the program that by then would have been in the program for a while. So if he got beaten out, he got beaten out. I think it would definitely be more of an open competition if he struggled this year. So that would be interesting. Yeah, but kind of a senior year, yeah, that's just not a situation you want if you're Michigan State. You want him to really take a step forward and not have that issue. The flip side of that is you have a little bit of a Jace Richardson situation where the program itself is at least another year away from really, really contending. Maybe more. Maybe it won't be there. I'm just saying they're probably at least another year. And yet, if Childs has the year you want him to have, he may be gone after next year, because he's actually a guy who has the type of abilities that the NFL would like. And Nick Marsh would have 1 year after that still, because he'd only be a sophomore next year. So there's a thread to string, or a thread to string there. You want a good year, but not a year that all of a sudden he's so high on draft boards that you don't get him a year after that.
Josh L., now that Xavier Booker is off to UCLA, how much was he making at MSU? And don't give me the high six figures nonsense, Couch. Was it $900K? $800K? We got to know, what is Izzo working with? Is it under $800K?
I think
twice if it's $700,000.
Yeah, I think you're in the right range. I don't have, so I have it sourced, but not to the point that I'm comfortable saying the exact number, right? And so, but I don't think you're so far off base, is what I would say.
Take $50,000 off the number and say that. So, what does it matter if it's the exact? It doesn't have to be exact.
He was making upper six figures. Yeah,
it's got you. With most athletes transferring to multiple schools, losing credits, and possibly not graduating with a degree, is Darius Snow the master of maximizing this current period of college sports, working on a second master's for free and getting paid to play football and go to school?
Darius Snow is a great story. I'm going to try and sit down with him before the season for a while, because I just think
must be fun to be smart and just enjoy going to school.
He's really engaging. Yeah, and I don't think he planned to stick around this long, but I think he still likes football, and he's realized it's a tool. Like, he knows, and I think there's two things going on with Darius Snow. There is a part of him deep down that wants to see if he can get back to the player that he looked like he was on his way to being before he had one of the worst leg injuries you'll see, right? It was a really awful one. And he's not been that player yet. But every year, like he talks about now, like he's, in terms of being recovered and confident and fit and all the things, like he's at even a different place than last year. And so I think there's part of him that just wants to see what the potential, what he can maximize out of it. But I also think he figured out, and he talked about this the other day, just how, if I'm going to be here, I can maximize all this. I mean, he's doing journalism now for I mean, we told him not to do that. That's what he's thinking.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah, don't waste. But a smart guy who's going to have a great life regardless of sports, and has a good standard for himself, and seems to be loving life. And that is the college experience you want, right? That's the idea of giving guys extra years based on injuries, and I don't know. He's also a connection to the D'Antonio era. That's how long he's been around. They call him Unk, apparently. That's all.
Scott, what are your thoughts on grown men wearing soccer jerseys? Does it change if there is no name and number on the back? Do you have a Torquay United jersey? And from Steve Whitico, Graham, are you a fan of any sports teams anymore? If so, would you ever consider buying team merch? Just curious after your jock-sniffing comments last week.
Yeah. I mean, if Groovy Donuts sponsored a team, you know how like soccer, they have the jersey sponsor on it? I would probably do it. And that would be my...
You could get a Groovy Donuts patch and put it on. I mean, do you even have like a favorite soccer player, or like?
Yeah, I have guys I like watching.
Follow your bets.
Yeah, no. I have teams I like watching. I have in Torquay United. I have an ownership stake, or whatever it is.
What?
Yeah, I pay like $400 a year to help support the club when they were in bad administration situation.
So what do you?
And they
what do you get out of it?
Well, they sent. I get I get a pin. I get my name on a jersey. I get a name on a big board there. Well, I don't have the jersey with my name on it. I haven't asked them to send me it. I do have a Torquay United jersey. I think the biggest thing for me is it's not so much the jersey itself. I was trying to think about this. It's the having another person's name on it. If you have a Liverpool or Torquay United jersey, that's cool. That's your team. It's the idea of like wearing another man's name is like.
Yeah, but you don't want to fuck them. You're just rooting for the team. I think you just dive way too far into it.
It's probably
now. Wait a minute.
I think the college one is part of it too. I think college, it's like an 18-year-old's jersey, and you're like a 40-year-old man. You're like, I like him. I don't know.
But you have a jersey that they just haven't sent you yet. So for $400, how many years in a row did you pay this $400?
No, this is the first year I've done it. I'm gonna keep doing it if they ask for it, though, because I want them to do well, and I want them to. They almost went under as a club,
so you have to give them the okay to get the jersey.
I have to. Well, basically, it's like a special jersey with different.
Sounds like a pyramid scheme. I watch American Greed. It sounds exactly like a pyramid.
But it's not like a jersey with just my name on the back. It's like a jersey with 100 names on it or something. People are all doing. It's like a little. Yeah, it's.
Jesus.
Right. It's not as cool. Like my actual
100 names on it.
I haven't seen it. But my name is up on the wall when you walk into the place, and I actually had Elizabeth added to there too. We're like part owners of this club. Yeah.
Does she know that?
She knows it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of cool. She's been to a Torquay United game with me. Of course, it was.
So you had to donate another. So you're up to $800.
No, next year it'll be $100. This year was $400. That's all I've given so far. And she went. Of course, it was 0-0 when we went, which I just God damn it, I can't just score a goal. So she enjoys it. But yeah, if they had Groovy Donuts,
you're ready for high scoring.
Any team had a Groovy Donuts jersey, I would buy it. And by the way, Groovy Donuts this week, this week through Sunday, the Limoncello Bismarck looks incredible. It was one of the 2024 Donut Design Contest winner. You can brighten your day with the Limoncello Bismarck. Fluffy Bismarck, bursting with tangy lemon curd, topped with smooth limoncello icing, finished with a light dusting of powdered sugar. Zesty, sweet treat that's full of sunshine. The picture, this is probably going to be part of my weekend for sure. I would, if you're in the area.
Picture?
Not eating the picture, but going to Groovy Donuts and getting myself a Limoncello Bismarck. You can get whatever you want at Groovy Donuts. Open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday, or go to groovydonuts.com to place your order today.
Scott, Jason, salute to a fellow man raised on Drew and Mike. I cried the first time I heard John Madden's gay per-view. Yeah, man. Drew and Mike. Now the Drew Lane podcast, one of the better podcasts out there. At least the one that when anybody asks about podcasts and where I listen to, it's definitely the Drew Lane podcast. Drew and Mike is what I grew up on, yeah.
Certainly better than this one.
Oh, God, absolutely. Those guys go like 3 hours and do all sorts of shit. Sparty Barb next. Enjoyed your interview with Coach Nightingale, and I'm looking forward to next season. Did Coach Knights mention any new incoming players that he is particularly excited about?
Well, I mean, there are a number of guys who are like NHL draft picks. There's a guy, Canadian Hockey League guys, juniors that they can now recruit. So he in his office, he's got a board, and it's kind of how they move around, guys coming in, guys going out, and all this sort of stuff. It's like they're almost like little, I don't know, what are they called? Magnet pieces. Anyway, But we didn't get into the specifics of different guys all that much because he really can't, technically some of those guys he can't talk about particularly yet. But they do have 15 guys who will be draft picks on next year's roster, up from 8 this year. So just from a pure talent perspective, you're not only getting back a guy who may win the Hobie Baker Award, a goalie who's one of the best goalies in the sport, and yet another guy. You had 3 guys who turned down contracts this year, but you got 15 overall draft picks. I mean, in terms of talent, next year at Munn should be incredible. That said, it still will come down to single elimination in March, and that sucks, and will always suck until they change it.
Fart Soup, Jason, I'm proposing a new segment called Talkin' Love with the Rube. My first question. My wife refuses to drive when we go on long road trips. In fact, she doesn't even offer, which might piss me off the most. What should I do? Signed, Sleepy in Seattle. Well, first, I mean, do you trust her when she drives? Like, I love my wife, and my wife is a great driver, but she is overly cautious. And I was in a car accident in 2009. It was a whole friggin' ordeal that led to a bunch of health problems. So I like to be in control. I do like to drive. I do trust my wife when she drives. But I mean, I don't know if she refuses to drive. If you have someone that's unwilling to drive, especially on a long road trip, I don't want them behind the wheel because it's not like you can sit there and relax at all. So I don't know. If she doesn't even offer, she doesn't want to do it.
Do you not like to drive? I mean, like, I prefer to drive.
I do like driving, but I also do like to take about 40 mgs if we're going to Illinois because she also likes to drive because she does get some certain level of car sickness. So I do trust her, but it's like I always am on high alert, and I'm not a very good passenger driver. I've gotten a lot better since we started dating over like 7 years ago. I've apologized profusely, but I'm just I take driving seriously, right? And I really get pissed off at people on the roads. And my wife is obviously a lot calmer than I am, but so, like, I just get annoyed at her driving. Like, if she stays in the left lane too long, I'm like, can you just please get over? So I've gotten a lot better at how I kind of say stuff.
I think the first thing you probably have to do, right, is say, would you like to drive?
Well, obviously, if she's ignoring it, if she doesn't want to drive, if she refuses to drive, right? I mean, where are you starting at? If she doesn't want to drive at all, I would not want to drive with someone, or sit in a passenger seat with someone that's like, oh, I don't want to drive. Because they're going to drive like 5 under the speed limit or 10.
Or 20 over, and you feel like, oh, my God.
I mean, 20 over, we're talking. I mean, I'm kind of into the 20 over. I can deal with that, but I don't see anyone that, if you do not want to drive on a road trip, there's no way that it's because you do 20 over.
What do you think about on Wednesdays, Talking Love with the Rube? We have a special, if you have love questions.
The guy that got married at like 42 years old?
Yeah. 100%. I think people would have questions. Talking Love with the Rube on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I think it's a sponsored segment. I think we're all over it.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I would love to do something like that. Fart Soup, Jason, what are your thoughts on joining a cult? Heaven's Gate sure had some sweet footwear, but the crew from Jonestown got to hang out in the jungle with unlimited Kool-Aid. Or maybe I should just join Couch's January 6th sympathizers group. Oh, boy, how do you choose? I mean, as far as cults go, I could see getting talked into them. Now, not the Heaven's Gate where you cut your own mule off and like you kill yourself. Jonestown and all that Kool-Aid. I mean, is there any other fun drugs? Like, if you got drugs involved, a beach, like I've seen these. Kind of like, what's the actor guy? He's got like what's his name? But he's got some sort of thing where they go to some remote island and everybody praises him and shit. And I could see going to something like that because it just looks like fun. And they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, Rube, there's some weed and we got, some psilocybin kind of fun over here. I'd be like, I think I could check that out.
It's all good.
But when you try to fuck me, that's when I'm out. Like, it gets to a certain point when you hear these cult things and I'm like, how do you keep going back? Or you let the guy bang your wife or something. It's just like, those are, there's clear indications when you're in a cult that's over the line. And I just think people just stick with this stuff. It's wild.
It's all good until there are machine guns on the premises. That's when I really don't. That's when
machine guns, or you're dancing on TikTok for some guy who has you in a house and he doesn't want you talking to your family anymore. And I'd be like, yeah, but I mean, I get that. I don't want to talk to my family either most times. But I mean, like, this is weird. Why are you telling me to do that? Anyway. Andrew Zuiza Graham, is the sound you make after Harry finishes giving us a bet to place on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app the same sound you make while eating groovy donuts?
Yeah, probably somewhere around there. But the Groovy Donuts is it's a whole different sound reserved for that. Even my wife doesn't know that sound. So,
donuts. Yeah. Andrew Zuiza. The Tigers are fun, but not because of Illich. But we need a sick douchebag on staff. So, Graham, can you FOIA Menzen's mule and report it's actually Illich's mule? Really good penis. So we can get that scandal Jason wants.
He was looking for the drop. Really good penis. That's what it was. I was like, wait,
Really good penis.
there we go. Yeah.
Really good penis.
Yeah, you put the FOIA together. I'll send it in. Tell you what, whatever you want it to say.
Do you realize how excited I'd be, though, if we found out Chris Illich was firing out mule pics?
And he had to resign and sell the team.
Sell the team.
Yeah, it would be incredible.
Shit, I'd go down to Comerica like Tony Dombrowski.
Because that's the thing. As much as this Tigers start is fun, as much as they seem to be in the right, as much as I trust a lot of other elements in the organization, you still don't trust the guy at the top.
T-Bone's dad, when will the MLB hard negotiate a maximum number of contract years like the NBA? Vlad Jr. got freaking 14 years, $500 million. Sweet sassy molassy. That is already an albatross contract.
But there's no salary cap, so nothing's an albatross, right? If you can afford it, you can afford it.
Yeah, but remember Miggy and the end? I mean, what is the best case scenario?
Right.
Miggy hits for a triple crown, wins MVP. We don't win a World Series, and then we have to deal with he's in the best shape of his life for the remaining 5 years because you don't want to get rid of him because he's making $50 million per. And you want to strut him out there.
So that to me is
I just hated every second of the end of it.
So as a team, to me, if I'm doing a 14-year deal with Vlad Guerrero, what is he, like 26 at this point and around there?
Yep.
So I'm already thinking to myself, this is a max 10-year contract. Best case scenario, we're getting high production out of this guy at 36. Best case scenario. Mm-hmm. So you're eating 4 years of the contract. You have to go in thinking that, willing to just pay somebody to go away, to get them to sign now and to stay with. You just have to think of it in those terms. Yeah, because you don't want the situation with Miguel Cabrera. You don't want a situation where that's holding you up from paying for other people. It cannot be that. That's.
But the last couple years of the Cabrera situation was due to Chris Illich not wanting just to have,
100%.
Not being able to tell Miggy to go away. Right.
Or don't have him go away. Have him help your team, but don't have him in the lineup. If you want a guy, if the Tigers could have been disciplined enough to say, we like how. This guy works with young players. We know he wants to play. He's just not productive enough. But, twice a week when there's an off day, we're going to have him DH. Everybody would have lived with that. Twice a week, Miggy DHing people could have lived with, right, on off days or pinch hitting here and there, and could he be as good once as he ever was sort of thing. People would have dealt with that. That would have been a different type of experience than throwing him out there as often as they did.
Big Squirt Bert. Graham, did you teach Torque how to push gay guys down the stairs? Because he's killing it.
Oh, boy. That's going to follow me. Well done.
Big Squirt Bert. Why are there 2 transfer portal windows for football, but only 1 for basketball?
Has to do with the academic calendar and when the sport finishes, right? Basketball covers both semesters. Football really doesn't. That's why they do it. It's when people can actually transfer. You just can't. In basketball, I guess you could do one in May, but it's the same season as, it's a semester thing. So that's why.
Big Squirt. I'm worried about MSU's perimeter defense next year. Is Glenn a good perimeter defender?
Seems like he's a pretty good defender. He's obviously a sizable guy. I think he can defend a little bit on the interior, hold his own. It's a good question. I don't know exactly what he is as a defender. I've tried to watch a little bit of film on him, but most of what I was watching was the offensive side of his game. But look, from people I've talked to, he's not it's not like defense is an issue for him. That's not an issue. He is a guy who has good length and physical player, and I think he'll be fine.
Big John Hogg. If wearing a jersey with another guy's name on it is weird, what about a custom one with my self-given nickname on the back? What if I pair it with one of those big ass hats?
People should do whatever they want to do. I guess, and if it's your own name, I think I'm good with that.
Given nickname,
yeah.
Not even your name. I don't know.
It's a self-given nickname too. It's not even a nickname he gave himself. What is that?
Oh,
like
God.
White Lightning, Chocolate Thunder. What's your nickname there, John Hogg?
The badass.
Yeah.
Big John Hogg. What does the MHSAA need to change to keep elite basketball talent in the state? Been a while since a legit NBA talent stayed in the state and didn't go to prep school. Look at all who's gone elsewhere.
I think they need to be more flexible, number one. You need to allow teams to play out of state, travel to play tournaments against elite competition, because that's what elite players want. And it doesn't even, sometimes you may wind up with an elite player or two, and you may have an opportunity to do that when you won't other years. And the flexibility to do that, just so you're not always just playing the conference schools and a few other, that would go a long way. To play more games than they do, I think those two things. They don't play, in Illinois, they play 74 games a season, and that's just between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And in Michigan, it's like 20, right? And I think you could do more. And I understand that, some of that could get abused and it can get ridiculous, but if elite players matter to you, that's what you have to do.
Big John, MSU baseball continues to struggle. When do they cut ties with Boss?
A couple things. I do want to mention, a lot of people reacted to, I think they lost to Central on Tuesday. The midweek stuff you can't pay attention to. They almost shouldn't count it in the standings or play the games, because the way it works in college baseball, you have a Friday starter, a Saturday starter, and a Sunday starter. That's who you play in conference play. And then you throw everybody else out there during the week for these like almost exhibitions on Tuesdays or whatever. And I covered Western for a long time. They beat Michigan State, plenty of those, and they beat Michigan. It just happened. Those Tuesday games, it's different than any other sport. Number one, think about it. In baseball, right, even in the major league level, the best teams lose a third of their games. Often to bad teams. It just happens. Like it's just the odds are against you winning all the time. That said, to the question with Boss in the program, I don't know. They were off to a decent start this year. It'll depend on how they finish. I think whether that gets evaluated. But I think there's a big thing going on with MSU baseball and how much the resources they can give the program, and figuring that out in the new rev share era. And if they were to cut ties, what sort of coach could you bring in? Like, I think these are all decisions that would have to be made. I think they want Jake Boss to succeed. They're trying to give him a chance. There are a lot of disadvantages at Michigan State in baseball and softball, and those have to be taken into account as well. That doesn't mean at some point somebody doesn't get a chance to invigorate the program a little bit. But I think there are a lot of other questions that are more than – and how badly do they want it? Like, I can't tell you the last time I went and covered an MSU baseball game. There are years that go by that I don't do an MSU baseball story. And that's not just because they're not good some years. That's some years when they're decent. That's because the audience hasn't shown to be there. The care isn't shown to be there. Now, there's an argument if people don't care about certain sports, why should they have these sports? But, you do that with, how many times did the LSJ go out to Teresa's field hockey games, Jason, when she was there?
In 95?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe a lot. Who knows? I don't know. She might have been a big star.
Maybe Evelyn was there.
Yeah.
Big Skin, Scoop, do either of you watch the Masters? If you do, what golfer are you pulling for?
Do
Kinda.
we? Yeah.
Just
a little bit. Who are you pulling for? Who's the guy you pulling for?
Wednesday's show. McElroy. Yeah. Definitely. I root for my bets first, but a lot of those guys are really likable, so it's not hard. Like Scotty Scheffler, I love rooting for him. But, McElroy, I'd like to see him win this Masters. So I think he's a great ambassador for the game of golf. So I do like Rory.
Yeah, I don't.
But as long as, any guys that are up near the top, they're usually likable dudes sometimes.
And one of the things I like most about majors in golf is you find yourself beyond your own bets, sometimes rooting for somebody down the stretch, and you have to figure out why. You start to like a guy. You start to like his story that day, or you root for his circumstances, whatever they might be. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things about it.
Kevin from Rochester Hills, when did Sergio become Ronald McDonald? WTF.
Wait, what are we talking about here?
He was wearing this yellow pants and red shirt. He looked like an old school Ronald McDonald guy from the 80s.
Oh, that's great.
And he's going to miss the cut. So that's a shame.
Yeah.
Kevin from Rochester Hills, more watchable, NBA or NHL? I got to say, when the Pistons are good, I had the Pistons on again last night.
Against the Knicks, yeah. That's who they're going to play in the first round. That's going to be a fun series.
Yep.
Locally,
I think the NBA is a product's ass, but when the Pistons are good, I'm tuning in.
And I would say this: both are incredibly watchable in the playoffs. I love the NBA and NHL playoffs. I think NHL. We've talked about this before, but I think there should be an app where you get an alert because early on there's a ton of NHL playoff games. There's too many to keep track of. You get an alert if one's going into overtime. Because to me, an overtime playoff game is like, I don't want to miss it. I will put anything down, and even a groovy donut.
What would you call the app?
NHL OT alert? I don't know. Stanley Cup, holy shit, I don't know.
Holy shit, that's catchy.
Yeah, I like that. Just the holy shit app.
Courtesy of the holy shit app.
Yeah.
Jay Riemenschneider, Ohio State and Michigan are top 15, 20 all-time college basketball programs and top 5 football. No other football or basketball top 15 is great in the other, so they would have to be ranked number 1 and 2 all-time schools in some order when combining both sports. What other 3 schools would you say round out the top 5?
Well, you could, I'd have to look at like Florida, but Florida's been down in football, and obviously had some really good success in basketball over the years. And then you got the whole thing about level of like dual sports in terms of, Michigan State would be in there for their run from like 2010 to 18. They were, they were the best at both sports together for a while. All time, are we going back like 50s, 40s? What are we starting? The 70s, because UCLA, has been really good in basketball from time to time since they were an incredible run, and they've been good in football time to time. It's I guess what the measure would be all time. And then you go to the care factor. Like Ohio State and Michigan don't care about basketball the way they do football, and so why pick basketball? Why not pick Michigan softball? They'd probably sell out that game more than they did that game against Maryland. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'll let that one go. But it's a good question. But clearly, obviously, for a long time, those have been I'm trying to think who else would be. It was a great basketball-football combo at that level. But they're absolutely two of the best.
Next one from Jay. With everything that happened in the NCAA tournament games, blown leads, huge runs, given up, the final score, etc., who had a better showing versus Auburn, MSU, or Michigan?
Well, they're different. Michigan had control of that game for a little bit. Michigan State never had control of the game.
I'm not talking about Michigan.
Then Michigan kind of lost control, obviously, and Auburn ran away from them, and Auburn never really did that against MSU. That run was early. You could argue that Michigan kind of woke Auburn up for MSU. Like I sat courtside for both those games, and the Auburn second half against Michigan was who Michigan State faced the whole time. So, I think Michigan State was a little bit better team than Michigan this year. I think Michigan played well in the tournament. They played twice. Michigan State won twice. And I think that reflected all the way through. Neither team was quite the Final Four level. I think all of those things were about reflective of where those teams deserve to be. I think Michigan was a Sweet 16 team this year. I think Michigan State was an Elite 8 team this year. And they went about as far as they belonged.
Rich Kane, will MSU ever give the football GM hire and firepower independent from the AD like Andrew Luck has at Stanford? And will every team eventually hire GMs for all the other sports?
No, I don't think you'll see. It just costs too much money. No, I think the AD that'll be different. The firing and hiring of coaches will remain on the ADs and presidents at the university level.
Rich Kane, I've only seen the movie version and loved it. Final scene had me in tears. What are your thoughts on the movie and or Broadway show, and how would you rate Wicked? Love it, meh, or hate it?
What is it? Great first act, okay second act. I like Wicked. I've seen it in Broadway a couple different times, or not the Broadway show a couple times, not in Broadway. I've not seen the new movie. Like it enough, and like some of the actors who played the lead roles. I love musicals, but I would put it up. It's not like a top 10 musical for me, but it's in the top 25.
You have 25 others?
Yeah, it's below.
Oh my God,
it's below Mamma Mia, but above South Pacific.
Oh my God, what a top 25.
South Pacific's probably like 31. Mamma Mia's probably like 14. Yeah.
Rich Kane, have you ever been mistakenly invited into a Signal chat where a coaching staff is discussing strategy and personnel for an upcoming game? Would you write an article before the game revealing any such discussion?
Yeah, I was in one chat with like Mel and Brenda Tracy, but otherwise, no, I'm just kidding. Let me fix that in post. Take that one out.
Fucking couch over here.
Yeah,
we don't have enough time for all of
that. Make it up for maybe Meeby early. Look at you guys, the comedy duo.
Yeah, no. If I've never been invited to a Signal chat, coaching staff with strategy and personnel before an upcoming game. I have been in like locker rooms. I've done things where, like behind the scenes, you got a glimpse into something you weren't allowed to share till after the game. That sort of stuff behind the scenes, where that was part of the rule. We're going to let you in, but you can't like, here's the fourth play of the game. That sort of thing. So yeah, but never have I.
You wouldn't write about it.
No, you wouldn't. No, because that's part of the deal. You never get invited back if you
Interesting tidbit.
Yeah. Did you know they're running? It's a jet sweep left in the fourth play.
Matty B, the word after the Tucker fallout was that the AD was against the contract. If that's the case, how did that go through? Donor pressure? Doesn't matter now, but was always curious.
I think the length of the contract was the biggest concern. And yeah, first of all, donors are paying a chunk of it. There was a lot of momentum, and
but wouldn't the money be a concern too? Not just the years. I mean,
yeah, but
money's a huge part of it as well.
The length of time you're committed. Yeah, I think there were concerns.
I think both combined were.
But yeah, that's the thing about being an AD at a university. You're in control, but you don't control the money, and so that plays a role in things.
Matty B. Matty B, I know you love spring football, Graham, but has there been any rumblings out of practice that suggest more optimism should be had? With MSU's resources, we should not be this irrelevant in football.
No, I agree on that. There's been nothing that stood out negatively. I've been to several of the availabilities. Practice is not like the main parts of practice are not open. It's not like we're watching that. There's no spring game obviously this year. But there's nothing like I've liked the assistant coaching hires they've added. The quarterback's coach, I've liked sort of what you hear from an outside perspective on what's expected of Aiden. Seems very, I don't know, it seems like a little bit of tough love, right? And how they evaluate and what they expect. And I think the thing that should give people hope, and you can see this from returning players and other people, is they just feel a lot more at ease going into year two of this staff. They feel like they understood where their shortcomings were. People feel better about it. Now, what that looks like on the field, I can't tell you because it's just interviews, right? It's spring interviews, and who the heck knows. But I think overall there's a decent vibe and people feeling a little bit better about where they are. But again, if they can't protect up front next year, that won't matter, right? They need that fixed. You got to have difference makers on all sides of the ball, but that really begins up front.
Couch on Fire, if Brendan Quinn was a real mensch, wouldn't he invite Jason to Augusta as his guest? No, I don't think so.
I mean,
God, I would have to imagine there's probably 1,000 people ahead of me that he would take.
Is that, though, like the idea of going to Augusta? Like, I mean,
I would be behaved. I would be well behaved.
Yeah, no, I don't even worry about that. Yeah, I don't have questions about your behavior at Augusta. It would be, yeah.
I would take edibles. I wouldn't smoke on their property.
Have you thought about trying to get tickets ever?
Tickets. I mean, we the lottery system. Treese has been doing it every year.
Okay,
so we were both going to do it. I mean, I don't think in the secondary market's
hard, and they're cutting down on it even more. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like if we ended up getting chosen in the lottery, obviously we would go.
You got to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Couch on Fire looks like Tom has replaced Fiddler with a dude on our two top hockey players are coming back, and our two top hockey players are coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I think and Fiddler did a lot of good things for MSU. He did, and especially late in the season, he had some good moments in the NCAA tournament. I think the moment was not too big for him, and he was a little disappointing early, and maybe he wasn't the shooter they hoped he'd be. But Fiddler did a lot of good things. I think in Kaleb Glenn, there's probably a little more upside, but different players. But yeah, I think that was a good sign. MSU hockey. I mean, other than the single elimination bullshit, you've got to be thrilled with the situation there.
Couch on Fire, Jason, your parking story. Now, like Musk, do you realize no good deed goes unpunished? Yeah, I know. And I drove by the spot today, and there was no one in it. So it's like, okay, well, she completely bullshitting me, but anyway, it's fine. I get it. I just don't want to help anybody anymore. Munfield Keg, have you seen the comedy show I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson on Netflix? There is a sketch where a middle-aged man obsesses over these shirts from the store Dan flashes because of their complicated patterns. It reminds me of how we all feel about muskox in a loving way. The sketch is not safe for work.
I haven't seen it.
So he has sex with a shirt.
Yeah, but
it's not safe for work, I guess.
I do like that when you're watching a show, you thinking of muskox, and that means we've infiltrated the psyche. I love it. No, I haven't seen it. I'll at least check it out.
Yeah. Keith Ski. Does anyone at the LSJ ever go to the LSJ website and see the 5,000 pop-ups that make the actual website trash and a horrible experience? Embedded slow-loading ads that push graphs around, banner ads that block everything, traditional pop-ups all at the same time. Fuck me, it's lame.
Now, I am not going to say that we have the best website experience, but I feel like you're working like Windows 2012.
Yeah, I was about to say, but you guys are by far not the worst.
Yeah, it's. I feel like
there are the pop-ups.
Yeah, there are things I don't love about our experience, but I feel like your experience is worse than any I can actually imagine with ours. Now, yes, I would do things differently. I don't control everything yet. Would love to get there.
Go to thedailymail.com. Holy shit, you can't even scroll. Hans Jurgen, what are the chances that assistant coach John Borovich succeeds Izzo as head coach?
We'll see how long he sticks around, whether, the CMU thing happens with him or whether he winds up at another. It'll be interesting to see. I think he's a bright guy. I think he's a smart coach. With all these guys, the more I think about it, like if you go to a mid-major, say you leave and you coach head coach, you're going to have to those places are really hard to succeed at. Now, there are places where it's worked. But you almost have to time it right, have a couple good years, and then get out. I wonder if you aren't better off being like Izzo's top aide for a while, or somebody really revered on his staff, and you get handpicked, and you never have to go through that. I don't know. So I don't know who it's going to be or whatever. I don't think Borovich is certainly I think a really intelligent, good assistant who's part of things right now, but when will Izzo actually leave, and what will?
I was just thinking of the headline: Borovich succeeds Izzo, and I'd just be like, "Oh God, I guess I'm done with college hoops." Like nothing against Borovich, right? Yeah. It's just like the name and like Izzo leaving, and the climate of the hoops, like the way it is now. Hans Jurgen, would it be more interesting if on the PGA Tour golfers were tased if they took too long to take their shot? The taser could be surgically implanted, and a highly trained golf official could have a remote to trigger it.
I mean, interesting is a word. Yeah, it would be something. I don't know if
try it on Live First.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
maybe in the college game, bring it to NCAA golf. People would go watch NCAA tournament golf if they were being tased. For sure.
Imagine the parents. Holy shit. Hans Jurgen, what is the best MSU message board? Red Cedar, Spartan Mag, other. Would you join the listeners on Reddit?
I don't spend a lot of time on the message boards anymore. I don't. It's been when you're doing like a traditional beat writer, you got to live on those places a little bit and know who's full of it, because there are people who know things on those boards. You got to learn who's full of it, who's pseudonym is actually somebody who's like a big donor or whatever. You got to learn that stuff, and it matters. And it's not like you can source it, but you can get information and then work it. I'm grateful not to deal with it anymore, so I can't give you a great answer there, Hans.
Hans Jurgen, break down the current 2025 MSU defensive line. I bet you can't.
You're right. I can't. I don't. And
busted.
Yeah. Damn it.
The Hawk, Jake Hawkins. Any chance Jace Richardson comes back to MSU, even if it's only 1%, 0.01%?
I'd put it higher than that. I'd say 1-2%. I mean, it's unlikely to happen, but he could wind up. Anybody can change their mind in life. Like, so if he could wind up in these workouts and say,
But really 1%.
1-2%. Yeah.
He says 0.01%. No. I think it's higher than that. And I'm like expecting you to say maybe there's a 35%.
No,
and you go,
no.
1 or 2%.
I would put it's definitely beneath 5% because he's not intending to come back.
Jake, how confident are you that the Pistons will trade for another superstar to team up with Cade Cunningham? I think they should try and get Devin Booker.
Yeah, the Booker fit, some people argue, is too much duplication. I think it would work. I like it.
You like Booker?
I do.
Yeah.
Do you?
Team guy? I don't know. I don't watch the NBA.
28,
anymore.
right in the prime of his career right now. I
know.
The thing is, you're right. And all of it is interesting because you have to, in the new model with the second apron and all that, you got to get the second star right. You can only pay 2 of these guys. And so you're going to lose some of them. It's a delicate balance to team build now.
And you have a young team where guys are kind of been drafted into this thing now. And you bring a veteran guy like that, that's
what sucked about the Jaden Ivey injury timing during this great year they're having. Like, it would have been fun to see him. Like, at some point, you're going to have to make a decision on Ivey, and now he's been hurt again, and like that stinks. And maybe it just helps you not, just sign to a lower deal, short-term deal to help let him prove himself again. But I would be intrigued by Booker. It depends what you give up, though. There are certain players, that I would not want to mess with. Asar Thompson, he's probably the guy that I wouldn't. It's not that Asar Thompson's better than Booker, but I don't want to. There's certain guys that I think, have potential to be special in other ways that I want part of that team. And
last night Blaha sounded really good, and I know people have given him shit in the past, but is it because we weren't any good and just Blaha was kind of and then now that
I think he's reinvigorated,
right?
Yeah.
A little bit. I'm just serious. I was listening to him in Special K last night. I'm like, Blaha still has it. He's a legend.
Blaha, he's been waiting for 6 years for relevant basketball again or whatever. Yeah, it's 7 years, yeah.
All right, next one from the Hawk. Do you believe the Pistons can at least win their first-round playoff series?
I think I like the matchup with the Knicks. I think the Knicks are better, but I don't put it past the Pistons to win this. I think it'll be fun. It's the series I wanted. I know that maybe they have a better chance, some people think, to beat an Indiana, but Indiana's not as fun. Playing New York, you're going to be a featured series. You're going to be in all the TV, the biggest TV showings. It's a real chance for the Pistons to show up. And I would almost rather the Pistons lose a 6 or 7 game series to the Knicks than get to the second round and the 4-5 and then lose to the Celtics or lose to the Cavs. I would rather they play the Knicks, try to get through and face the Celtics. I want them to face these. I don't know. That's just what I want to watch right now. I want to see this team in those settings, and that's what
1 or 2% chance. Are you saying that
they beat the Knicks? No, I think it's a 35% chance they beat the Knicks.
Right. Jake Hoggins, after the Red Wings dropped the last 2 games and decreasing their playoff hopes, how upset are you at Steve Yzerman? Do you think he should be fired?
I mean, it's not great, but he did so well at Tampa. I don't know. How do you fix it at this point? If you don't they never landed the top draft pick. The hard cap makes life really difficult. Well,
but if the GM were not named Steve Yzerman, he would have been fired.
He would have
been
fired. Yes,
right,
100%.
Jake, if there's ever something like a 30 for 30 or Netflix special about the downfall of Mel Tucker, would you ever appear in it and speak on the matter?
Sure. I mean, I would have guidelines about, look, this is what you can ask me.
Really?
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, I'm somebody.
You'd have a writer?
Well, I covered him enough so that I would guess I would be part of the.
What's off limits?
Well, there's
sex talk.
No, there's just things. Yeah, I'd have to.
The joke you made about 10 minutes ago.
These are that would be definitely off limits. These are the things I have on record. These are the things I have off. There are lots of things I think I know that I couldn't talk about, and that's just.
We don't have enough time for all of that.
Oh my God! I hope there's a 30 for 30. Jerk guy, what's your favorite Irish girl's name? Oif, Shaban, Grenay, Mesba, Dirbla, Combien, or Sile?
I like Oif. Oif sounds good to me. Oif. Let's go with Oif.
Oif couch.
Oif couch. Oh, yeah, that sounds great. We're going Oif couch.
All right. Jerk guy, what's the best revenge-focused movie?
Revenge-focused.
I don't know. That's a tough one. Top 25?
Home Alone count?
That is a revenge-focused movie.
Yeah.
And when we were younger, we were like, damn, dude, this kid actually has it going on.
I don't know if I've ever cheered harder for anybody than Kevin McAllister. What people have to understand is Kevin McAllister was basically our age. I mean, he was 2 years younger. He was an 8-year-old, but the actor was our age.
Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin. So that was peak of your childhood watching Home Alone, Home Alone 2. I don't know in my life if I've ever laughed harder still than Kevin McAllister, the Macaulay Culkin character, and Home Alone 2 throwing bricks, hitting Daniel Stern in the face and off the top of the roof.
You've never laughed harder at
I
anything?
don't know, but I was 12. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
Okay. I thought you meant you watch it every time you watch it.
No. When I first saw it in the theaters, I just remember being 12 and I just couldn't control snot out of my nose laughing. I thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. I don't even know if they could put that in a movie anymore because you're essentially killing somebody. And
it's a movie. It's
I know,
believe.
But today they would
separate
kids movies,
that now.
They don't do that now.
Jerk guy, how much money have you lost in your 401k this month?
I don't look because I don't want to know.
I want to cash out my my coin, Bitcoin stuff. Yeah,
well, I'm such
everybody says hold. I'm like, all right.
I'm such a finicky bettor. You don't want me looking over my 401k. That's it.
The hedge king.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, from the Jerk guy, are you hoping Izzo calls you to be the backup point guard?
10 years ago, I could do it. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, that would be a bad deal for Michigan State. You need somebody with a little more quickness, you know? I don't know where to go with that. I thought it'd be funnier on that line. I'm sorry, Upper Deck Jerk. You set me up and I did not deliver. We'll fix that in post or something.
Set me up.
We appreciate all of you. Thank you for producing our show. We appreciate Pure Options. If you're still listening, I hope you have several MGs in your system. But go to Pure Options, any location, or pureoptions.com to find the location. Get some MGs in the system for this Sunday's Masters, the Tigers, whatever it may be. Or just head down to Dacey's Taproom and Sportsbook at Firekeepers Casino, or download the app, make the live bets, have 47 bets, lose them all. It's a good time. And we appreciate Groovy Donuts. Go to groovydonuts.com, place your order, swing on by, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., either location, Lake Lansing Road, East Lansing, or Williamson. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.